So, in other hand, there is political activities of governing council. They are trying to control the situation by building a new association, new police, new constitution, everything new in Iran. So these days was a very hard discussion in the governing council about the transitional law. In this law, we are trying to, we are looking for granting us, granting our rights, political rights, cultural rights, and social rights in this law, and adopt our language, which is a very old language, and this is the language of the Jesus, Aramaic language, and to be taught or recognized as one of the language of the countries, national languages of the country. There is because they thought they are majority, and they will be majority in the parliament. And the general election it's impossible now because of the security situation. We need an census, and we need election law. All this is not able to do it now. It takes times, maybe not less than 12 months. I will speak something about our community, Assyrian community. From 1970s until 2003, the former brutal regime destroyed more than 250 villages in the north of Iraq for our community, and tens of the very old churches. His names at 1988 in Al-Anfal. Again, many of our political activists were in the prisons for a long time. So in such kind of situation, bad situation of suffering, a large number of our community fled from the country to the neighbor states like Turkey, Iran, Jordan, and Syria, and to European and America and Australia and New Zealand. So there's a very large number community now in these countries. For example, number of Assyrian in North America only is more than 300,000, and bigger than this number in Europe, in addition to big number in Australia, New Zealand, Canada. The Assyrian demand is legislative national rights in Iraq, which concentrate on constitutional confession of their identity, culture, and national existence within the framework of unity and national sovereignty of Iraq, and respect their culture and national from the other nationalities in Iraq. And the Chaldo-Assyrian were treated as a fourth-grade citizen and sometimes less, but treated as they should treat it as an indigenous people, indigenous citizens who have they must have right equally, like in the old chain, Iraqi chain. We are suffered from killing and raping, as I said, in Basra. Many of our people in Basra, before 9th of April, there was more than 2,000 families from our community in Basra. Now maybe there are 200 because of the aggression against them. And in Baghdad, also in Mosul, they are killing intellectual guys like lawyers, judges, and doctors. So that's why we are now asking here for protection and granting our right in the new Iraq, granting our rights in the Constitution, and asking to represent us in the new government, new parliament, in new Iraq. It's very short things, and I am it's briefly for you because there's many things to speak, and you know the time is short, and we will let the time to questions. Maybe will increase or to add something by the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, this area is of great interest to me personally. I'm a chairwoman of one human rights organization called First Step Forum, which is concentrated on religious liberty issues, and this is of course cultural, but also the background is religious by nature. And 1 year ago we organized in the parliament meeting with Assyrians, some coming from Iraq, some coming from Turkey, and they gave similar description of the situation, and it seems to me that it is really alarming. We should do something here on the European level, and I have one practical request for you. Willing to draft a question just to help my work to the Commission and Council. We could do it in cooperation, and then I could use my legal position to table that question. And I'm sure that we could work with this area.
What time frame would you be looking for? How quickly, how soon?
Well, in our world, ASAP is the word, because very soon we will have elections,
Yes,
and in order to get the answers, it takes 6 weeks normally. So as soon as possible is.
Mm-hmm. So in other
So
words,
some practical. I always.
major immigration out of Iraq
Mm.
because of the difficulties. Our concern is what's going to happen this summer once the transition is made. So the reason I'm asking about time is, would there be an opportunity to put this discussion forward this spring?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then we should move as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Yes.
Originally, they are from the north. They are deported from the village that I mentioned was destroyed, and so. And the second town is Nineveh, is very historical capital of our community. Where there are about more 200,000 Caldo-Assyrian in the region, and they still living in their historical lands, especially northeast Mosul, and others in Duhok area is in the north, situated in Baghdad and Nineveh. In the Duhok, this is the main places that our community exists in.
with relation to the villages that were destroyed, the people that have been killed in the Anfal, you will find one of the last sections of your folder contains
Yes.
lists that we have of the villages destroyed, the clergy that have been killed in various ways, as well as the kinds of churches, old, ancient Christian areas and monuments that have been destroyed. And that's all in this packet that you have. The other thing that you have in your packet, I think, is the most recent item that we have been able to get directly from the community in Kirkuk. Kirkuk has been in the news now for quite some time because it is the town that, the fourth largest town in Iraq, where 40% of Iraq's petroleum has been exploited since the 1920s. But Kirkuk is a multi-ethnic town with a fairly substantial Chaldo-Assyrian population, as well as Turkmen, Arab, and Kurdish. But the Kurdish push to make Kirkuk their center, and certainly oil has a lot to do with it, has affected us very drastically just in the beginning of this month. So you have a statement from of the Chaldo-Assyrian group from the Iraq Broadcasting Station in Kirkuk in your packet. And this is signed by 5 persons who are on the staff of the radio, the portion of the radio that is devoted to our language, to the Syriac Aramaic language. 3 of these are men and 2 of them are women. And they have resigned en masse from the staff of the radio station, which means that there is no longer any broadcasting in our language. And they have resigned certainly for reasons that have been going on for quite some time, and it was, I'm sure, not an easy decision for them to take. It's forward more. May I? These aren't paginated, but it comes after the declaration about the conference. If you look at the front of your folder, you'll see that there's an order to the, and this is the, it's after the declaration. So these 5 people resigned from the radio station for 2 main reasons, and they enumerate and give some background to this. The first is that the hours of broadcast for our language have been progressively cut by the management of the station. The management of the station, they tell us, is all Kurdish. And so they have continually reduced the number of hours that we're able to broadcast. And the management has not responded to any of the appeals that the staff has made to them to honor the commitment to have a proper and fair representation of our language on radio. But the second reason I find even more indicative of the kind of discrimination under which we live, and perhaps I'm more sensitive to this being a woman, but these 2 women who are on the staff, as they entered the compound, you know, for both traditional and security reasons, all of these buildings are in a compound where there's a gate and you enter only through that gate, and that gate is guarded. The guards at the gate were also that we can do to protect ourselves in a situation like that. It is humiliating for the women. It is humiliating for our community because we have no recourse except to resign. And resigning means our voice is not heard. But what alternatives do we have? The staff appealed to the management of the radio station, all Kurdish, constrain your guards, treat us fairly. Nothing happened. They finally resigned. We have no voice on radio. But what other recourse do we have?
And if I may add, this was a very courageous act on the side of the 5 staff members to put their names on that declaration. And I would like to elaborate a bit more on the situation in Kirkuk, because the pressure on the Kurdo-Syrian community in Kirkuk, especially in that place, is quite palpable. When we visited the town last October, we interviewed a number of members of the Kurdo-Syrian community, and we got confirmation that the situation is really alarming, as you defined it. Kirkuk is a town which is a very important strategic, has very important strategic, is an important strategic place. So there are various designs to have the Kirkuk within the Kurdish-controlled territory. And that makes the situation of the Kurdo-Syrian community there of special concern, simply because at the moment,
Okay, but we have some in English, but you have in French here too. And that was written by Claude Célis, the author that I told you.
Good, good. Yes.
Masana. We worked a lot on that when the village was destroyed by the Turkish army at the beginning of the 90s. They arrived massively in Belgium and helped them get asylum.
C'est mon neveu qui l'a pris, moi.
Ah bon.
لازم حنحاضر روح اختيار ده.
عينيات بس كذا.
تبي ناسي بداية شمباليلة مولا؟ شمباليلة حاجين اللي بداية
بدك شوية سلطة؟
لا
ما بدك سلطة؟
شمبالينا مدري شان
ليش عند أكاداي؟ ليش عند أربي؟
شمبالينا
خلط جو كاري مولا ريخ كاري من شمباليلة بداية شمباليلة مولا؟
شمة ليلى؟
شمبالينا
شمبا ليلى.
شوي هذا
Fenugreek en anglais. C'est la même chose en français, je crois.
شمبالينا
C'est un herbe.
Comment vous dites en anglais?
Fenugreek.
Oui, en français c'est fenouil.
Non, pas fenouil. Fenouil, c'est une autre chose.
C'est encore
يوم خلطة لشمبالينا
ايه لا حاجة جمدة قد ما تاخذ جمخولتك ريخة خبرة أكاداية إن لشان دي أنجو أرمجنا يحنا نشتغل شمبالي لا بكرة شان فرنسا لا
لا هذا الذي مدمرة مهمة
مويلا
الذي ممرة
pomegranate yeah granite
pomegranate
yeah مويلا لشان دي أن بوجود إحنا في 500 تمر
هرمونة لنا
أرمونتا شانيتون يلا
هرمونة
أرمونتا أوكي
كاستمر
أملاكم الشانيتون
أين؟ حكي شو على الفيلم عاملين تاكس عن كل مدى بس بدبي 4500 ونص
مو قالوا كذا يا أخوان
أرمونتا
عمو اكسسوار يدك ولا كله
en français
يا با جو سي با
أزرون
بالي مش مي
بفرنسا 100%
جو سي با مش قناه
انت تقول بري يعني؟
ها
لا انعم
اخر خوات
اخيرا انا شمنته لغه
شمنته طيب خلينا على محدوده
هذا كنت عين مستني
من ذاك البلطي دخل
عبرو كتلة
أنا
تليفون
من
كنت لي تليفون اليوم
كنت يطلع كونفرنس
ها بس دي ساقوش ساعة مش سابنا
congrès non rencontre assyriologique internationale أشتبتوا يجو جو South Africa جو كيب تاون تويا إلى الفلورا and fauna at the ancient Assyria Babylonian world. So I'm going to give a paper الدن من ديان الإسراء فلورا كبيشنا من لشان أكاداي جو لشان ديان.
اوكي
Yeah,
very interesting
but أنا Acadian لي أتني أنا شو من dictionary all the time. إذا مثلا شمباليلا خامنالي شمباليلا كياشلي لشان أكاداي دايتفا. سبارجلا دائلة
فرقلة
هر خبرة من لشان أكاداي. أنا بيان خزن خينمو مثلا ششمة هي
ششمو
ششمة ده من لشان أكاداي بتاعي
شو اسمه؟ سمسم
إن خبر مش لا رومندي
مش
لا لا أكاداي لا مش قاعدة بيان خزن لشان أتيك أمينا
مش
مشمشية له
بصير لا بكتب انا بس برانا مش هنا ايتان خبر اخيرا
إيه بدأ بخشام خبر أخينا
تودي هيك انا والله